Welcome to Fishing with Dave on Channel 43 Public Access. Here's your host, Captain Dave.
And welcome back to Fishing with Dave. I'm your host, Dave. Thinking back on the Oregon Trail, what stays with me the most is how closely the game's choices mirrored real life, even in ways I don't fully understand at the time. Every decision felt small when you made it, almost trivial. Now, think back to when you were a kid, depending on what year you're born in, okay? Because I remember playing the Oregon Trail on an old Apple II computer. Then afterwards, played it on a Macintosh, the black and white screen one with the little cube. I used to play it on that all the time at school. That was my go-to. All right, and and the rest, and it was just such a fun game. You know, do you rest another day or do you press on? Do you spend more on supplies now, or risk saving them for later, your money? Do you slow down because something feels off, or do you ignore it because you want to make progress and get to the next fort? None of those moments were dramatic on their own, but together they shaped everything that followed. That is exactly how real life works, or so it feels like to me. You don't usually fail because of one catastrophic mistake. You fail because of a series of small decisions made without intention. You skip the rest, you ignore all the warning signs, you convince yourself you can push a little further. The game understood that long before I had the words for it as a kid. I was just a little punk, a little a little nerd, But anyways, when I first played the game, I actually played the original text version on the Internet Archive, and it clicked with me immediately. There were no graphics to distract you, no animations to soften the experience. Everything lived in your head: the wagon, the trail, the rivers, illnesses, landmarks, even your own party members. That made the consequences feel heavier. When something went wrong, it wasn't just a mechanic firing. It felt like something you had failed to account for. I fell in love with it almost instantly as a kid. And, just like Zork and Carmen Sandiego, all those games, they live with me. I can never forget them. They inspired me to do what I do. To do this show, to write a blog post every week, to add new rooms to the game. It all fits into why I love, text adventures so much. It wasn't just a game to me, it felt like a story that trusted the player. It trusted you to think and to imagine. It didn't explain itself or apologize for being slow. It assumed you would meet it halfway. That kind of trust is rare, and even rarer now with the AI garbage and slop you see today that Microsoft passes for coding. You know, Whatever, right? So for me, it sits right up there with Star Trek. Not because they're similar on the surface, but because they share the same respect for curiosity and consequences. I'm going to do a video on that one down the road. Believe me, nothing spells fun like zapping Klingons on you know, a text user interface screen, Uh, but the Oregon Trail taught me that every choice has a cost, even the ones that seem harmless. Star Trek asked what kind of person you are when you have time to think before acting, before left space for reflection, and both trusted the audience to fill in the space with meaning. That trust feels missing now almost, Just like that lame, what do you call it? That Dino Crisis knockoff game, with the scantily clad woman, that's on PS5. I seen videos of it. I don't have a PS5, but something smells fishy about that game. I can't put my finger on it. But modern life, pushes you with a constant notion that the decision you make has consequences, and you reflect on it. Even care is framed as something you earn after you burn yourself down. The old game never encouraged that mindset. It reminded you again and again that neglect accumulates quietly until it can't be ignored. Hygiene was part of that. Not as a joke, but, not even as a meme. You washed your hands before illness didn't announce itself loudly. It crept in slowly. You took care of yourself, but no one else was going to do it for you. That lesson feels almost radical now, but not because it is complicated, but because it requires attention. Out here, by the water, those parallels become obvious. Now, fishing works the same way. You don't force outcomes, you prepare, you stay aware, you respect the environment you're in. If you ignore the basics, nothing works the way you want it to. If you rush, you miss what matters. The old game understood that life is not about speed or spectacle, it's about care, consistency, and awareness. You didn't award impatience, it didn't soften consequences, it simply reflected reality back at you in quiet and unglamorous ways. That is why it still matters. It wasn't about teaching history, it was about teaching how to live inside uncertainty, how to make peace with limits, how to understand that survival, whether on a trail or in a modern world, is built for the smallest decisions repeated every day. Out here, those lessons still hold, and somehow they feel clearer now than they ever did on a classroom computer screen. Rest in peace, cheese and pepperoni. Or pepperoni and cheese. I think it's pepperoni and cheese. But you get what I'm saying. Until next time, fishers, fishermen, women, adventurers, I'll see you back on the lake.